decided to take it apart, so I brought it from home, just stuck it on the van as it was. Welcome back to the allotment. It's Monday afternoon on the 3rd of April, and as you saw, I just brought down the potting bench for the greenhouse that I erected at the weekend. I've also brought down some spent compost. It's quite dry. It was left in the greenhouse for too long. It had the tomatoes growing in it last year. They're going to be broken up and just layered on top of the straw and manure there on the no dig border, and I'm just going to pop to the local garden centre and get some of the woven membrane to put down on the floor of the greenhouse. As you can see, I've infilled the base with soil and tamped it down with my feet. I'm going to cover that, and then I'll put the potting bench there inside. It's about 8 foot long, so it fits okay. And you'll notice that it's also nice and clean and shiny, and that's because it's had a really thorough wash down today, inside and out. So it's ready to go. I've fixed the automatic openers and adjusted them, and there are 3 actually on this greenhouse, but only 2 work. But there are 2 getting the windy side of the weather, facing south. Yeah, greenhouse is looking good. See all 3 of my babies now in a row. So I'll get off to the garden centre and I'll get the base covered up so we get no weeds coming through. And that's the new greenhouse all set up now. The woven fabric on the floor. I brought in the 6 pots of earlies. They were the first ones to go into pots. They're all coming on nicely, and the tomatoes are all in the watering trays on the potting bench. And as you can see, I've got the bubble wrap ready just in case we have any really cold nights. So that's the new greenhouse, well and truly established. Hi again, it's the afternoon on Tuesday the 4th of April, and this is the last day of my week off. I'm off back to work tomorrow, but I've accomplished quite a bit. I've, as you can see, as I've shown already, I've created a no-dig border on the no-dig allotment, and I've just raked all the manure out, and it's about 10-inch deep. It's a mixture of good stuff and not so well rotted manure with wood shavings added in, and a bit of straw as well. But I've also created a no-dig border stroke bed around the greenhouse as well, and I'll show you that now. As you can see, all of the area that was around the greenhouse and also around the raised bed for the blueberries has been mulched. Some of it I did just turn the soil lightly. That's just along this bit and around here where the lavender plants are, and that was just to break the soil up a little bit to put the lavender in, but it won't be dug again. And in the corner over here, that was simply covered with cardboard. You can see a little bit poking out just there, needs to be buried, and that's been covered with about 1 foot of manure as well. I've also gone up the side of the greenhouse just to sort of keep down the maintenance, because you tend to get weeds grow around the bits that are neglected. As you can see under the pallets there, they're growing, but that means that the whole area now is been covered. Everything but the grassed area. This bit just here just has the old straw that's really broken down, so that's going to need some more manure on, probably another 20 barrelfuls or something like that. But it's just about done now, and I'm ready to start planting up or sowing in the larger raised beds. You can see I've just collected some spent hops, and I'm going to put those on the no dig border, and I've just brought them down on a sack barrow that I've just bought for £15 off Gumtree, and it's a beauty. It probably cost the best part of £100 new, but somebody was moving home and they had a small holding and they were moving to a normal house, and they were getting rid of all manner of things, some of which I would have loved to have bought, but I just couldn't justify it really. I've got everything I need now. But it's a sack barrow and trolley in one. You can see there's a pull down wheel at the back, which is great. I've got 2 sacks on there, much easier than a wheelbarrow. You don't have to lift or anything, just push it. Strapped on with a spider. So I've done as much as I hoped I would in the week off. I have done some work elsewhere, and I'll just show you that briefly before we draw this update to a close. I cleared out the 3 baths, and the back one had kohlrabi in and the front 2 had carrots last year, but I've dug out about 9-inch worth of soil, and I've popped that in those 35 litre pots there. There are 8 pots, and then I've refilled the baths with soil taken from where the climbing beans were grown for the last 3 years. They've been in the same place for 3 years, they're going to stay there, but I've taken about 8 to 9 inch off, and that'll be refilled with soil from elsewhere and spent compost, so that because the productivity of the beans tends to fall off after 3 or 4 years, and you don't want to be growing your carrots in the same soil. So what I've done is I've recycled soil around the site, so taken soil out of there, popped it in the pots there. Those pots are going to be used to fill the planting holes on the no dig border that I just showed you. So when I plant, I don't know, let's say kale or purple sprouting broccoli, beetroot, onions, squash, some of that soil will go into the hole, because as I said, it's a mixture of rotten and not so well rotten manure that's on there. So that's for the no dig border, and I'm going to sieve this soil in the baths, add some spent compost, maybe some fresh compost as well, and I'm going to put some sweet candle in all 3 of those baths, and I'm going to dib them first and fill the holes with compost, fine compost, and then I'm going to erect canes up the side and put enviromesh around the outside to try and keep the carrot fly out. So that's the baths. I've also sown carrots in the large raised bed. I'll show you that now. This bed's full of carrots now. The first half has Autumn King in it, and the second half a Nantes carrot. Nantes 2 and Autumn King 2, I think they were. So quite dry now because it's been warm, so that needs watering. You can see the plum trees are in blossom. Also put the broad beans in. The broad beans were a little bit on the leggy side, and as a result they've taken a bit of a bashing from the wind, and you can probably hear it in the recording. It's been quite breezy the last couple of days, warm but breezy. So the broad beans are in as well, and I've also had a rejig in the greenhouse. I'll show you that briefly. In the large greenhouse I've just got the zebra shallots, sunflowers and brassicas. I'll be adding more brassicas in here, and then this will fill up with, towards the end of this month anyway, with sweet corn and climbing beans. They'll all be in modules, so and we'll have a lot of them, so this, you know, the vacant space will be filled up, and by then the brassicas that are in here now, most of them probably will have been pricked out and put into modules as well. Got a few sweet peas, they'll need hardening off and planting out. have a look at the second greenhouse. This one now just has salad at different stages of development on the trestle table. We've got the original cut and cut again salad. We've had a good half carrier bag off that already, believe it or not. The two different varieties there, they're normal lettuce, but you can take the leaves off as they come. I've taken some off those as well. But I've also sown a second 2 pots. This one is another sowing of that one there, and that one is another sowing of this one. More radishes. The beetroot will be going out into the no dig border on the no dig plot. Original radishes there, had 2 big bunches of those. A watering tray full of mixed lettuce leaf, just to see how that performs in a limited amount of compost, just to see whether or not we can get something worthwhile off of a small amount of compost rather than using a big pot. Spring onions as well, they'll be planted out probably into the no dig bed as well. Have a look at the little greenhouse now. And the smaller of the 3 greenhouses, that's the new one that I put up earlier, has now got the tomatoes in on 2 watering trays. The first batch of earlies in pots, and then on the pull down shelf I've got the cucumbers, peppers and chilies, I think some aubergine as well, and the cucumbers are just starting to come out. That's actually a courgette there, 2 courgette. Cucumbers there coming through, Burplus and Marketmore. Still no sign of the peppers and chilies. They're yet to come through, although, oh, that's a squash, these are squash. There's a squash coming through there, you can just see that. And aubergine, it looks, that could be an aubergine, but it could be a tomato, a rogue tomato seed. We'll have to wait and see. So we've split up the contents of the greenhouses. We've now got brassicas and soon to be full of sweet corn and beans. Then we've got salad, and in here we've got your traditional greenhouse crops, cucumbers and tomatoes. So that's it for this update. Thanks very much for watching. I'm back to work now, and I won't be back on the allotment probably until, to do anything significant, until the weekend, when I'm going to be planting the main crop, potatoes. I might also do some sowing on one of the raised beds here, the larger raised beds. So that's it for now. Have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you again at the weekend. Cheers!